Hello students, today our topic of discussion on prelims and mains important topic analysis. It is on economic crisis in Sri Lanka. Okay, Sri Lanka recently faced economic crisis. You all know about it, and this question is very important for our mains and prelims exam. So I am covering now on this topic. Okay, it is economic crisis in Sri Lanka. Okay, let's know about the basic meaning of economic crisis. Okay, if a country GDP is 6%, okay, or 7%, if it decreased from 7% to 6%, it is called as the economic slowdown. Okay, if a GDP of the country decrease, then it is called as economic slowdown. Okay, this slowdown will occur for 6 months continuously, then it is called as the economic contraction. Okay, and again 6 months it continue, then it is called as economic recession. Present Sri Lanka is in this situation. Okay, if again 6 months this slowdown will occur, then it is called as economic depression. Okay, present Sri Lanka is in economic recession phase. It is called as economic crisis in Sri Lanka. Okay, what are the major reasons for the economic crisis in Sri Lanka? Let's see it. Okay, the major reasons are Sri Lanka take political decisions and economic decisions mainly by Sri Lankan Prime Minister Rajapaksa, and civil wars in Sri Lanka. It is between the LTTE group and Sinhalese. And COVID-19. COVID-19 pandemic is also the most reason for the economic crisis in Sri Lanka, because Sri Lanka is the most tourism place. Because of COVID-19 pandemic, tourism decreased in Sri Lanka. So it caused economic crisis in Sri Lanka. And some other reasons of economic crisis in Sri Lanka are foreign worker remittances also decreased because of COVID-19, and Ukraine-Russia war issue. And other reason is imports are increased in Sri Lanka, and mainly agriculture take a decision. It is Sri Lankan Prime Minister say that please ban chemical fertilizers and introduce organic farming in Sri Lanka. It creates health. Like this, organic farming only little amount of food will generate. By this, economic crisis also occurred in Sri Lanka. Without producing more food, no exports occur. Imports increased in Sri Lanka. Imports increased means dollar goes out from our hand or from our country. Okay, so economic crisis will occur in Sri Lanka. These are the major reasons for the economic crisis in Sri Lanka. And Sri Lankan government imposed broad import ban also. This banning causes shortages in Sri Lanka. These shortages pushed food prices up to 25%. Like this, food prices are increased in Sri Lanka. Food prices increased means food inflation. It is how much? It is 25.7% in Sri Lanka as from actual point of view. Economic emergency was also declared in Sri Lanka because they have no amount in hands, because there is no exports, only imports are occurring. So economic emergency occurred in Sri Lanka. Electricity blackouts are also more in Sri Lanka. And Sri Lankan GDP is $80 billion, and Sri Lankan debts from other nations are $51 billion. Let's see what is the economic crisis of Sri Lanka now. Okay, its GDP is $80 billion and its debts are $51 billion. Okay, those are in same value. If our GDP is more, then our economic is good, but here there is a no difference between the GDP and debts of Sri Lanka. Like this, because of these reasons mainly, Sri Lanka faced economic crisis. Sri Lanka is our neighbor state, and there is a lot of history between India and Sri Lanka from Ramayana point of view also. Okay, Sri Lanka is a best friend to our India. So India helped a lot to Sri Lanka. India extended $2.4 billion to Sri Lanka and $400 million currency stock, and also $500 million loan deferment to Sri Lanka. Like this, India helped to Sri Lanka in economic crisis time. There are many relations between India and Sri Lanka. Let's see it. India is largest trade partners with Sri Lanka, and India is a top tourism source for Sri Lanka. In Sri Lankan imports, 1 by 5th are from India. So India helped to Sri Lanka. Other nations talked that India helped to Sri Lanka because it is only on diplomatic blackmail. Okay, they are considering it as diplomatic blackmail by India by other nations by Adani Group. Because Adani Group recently tried to buy Hambantota port in Sri Lanka. So other nations are thinking like this. It is India helped to Sri Lanka because India want a gain from Sri Lanka. It is Hambantota port from Sri Lanka. Like this, other nations are opposite talk on this India helping to Sri Lanka in economic crisis time also. Okay? And what is the main solution to come out from this crisis in Sri Lanka? Let's see it because it is very important for any other country. Mainly it is helpful to our India also. What are the major steps can be taken to decrease or to eliminate this economic crisis in Sri Lanka? Let's see it. The first step is stabilized government at center. A stabilized government at center can decrease this problem and support from International Monetary Fund and rolling back manure policy and changes in agriculture. Tourism expansion in Sri Lanka and more state funded education. If Sri Lanka takes these measures, then Sri Lanka will quickly save from economic crisis. Okay? And World Bank also gives some advices to Sri Lanka on this economic crisis. Please change your agriculture productivity and agriculture policy and increase job opportunities in our country in non-farming sectors and implementation of reforms, and please improve your access across country to education mainly. Okay? These are the World Bank advices to Sri Lanka economic crisis. This is about basic information on Sri Lanka economic crisis. India helped to Sri Lanka and main solutions to quickly Sri Lanka is get out from its economic crisis, and World Bank advises to Sri Lanka and what are the main reasons of the Sri Lankan economic crisis. And you also know about the terms in this video on what is economic slowdown and economic contraction, economic recession and economic depression. Okay, this is about Sri Lankan economic crisis. This topic is very important and it should compulsory a question in mains exam paper. In prelims also this topic is very important. Okay, don't miss it, and thank you so much. All the best.